August 15th, 1971. A quiet Sunday night. Suddenly, every TV in America cuts to the president.
My fellow Americans,
Richard Nixon announces a temporary measure that would change the world forever.
the strength of our nation depends on our collective will.
He officially closes the gold window. In one speech, the world's superpower defaulted on its promise. The dollar was no longer tied to gold. It was now just a piece of paper backed by trust. Why did a temporary decision last for over 50 years? And why did your money start losing its weight? Welcome to the Wealth Archive. Today, we decode the day the world was cheated out of its gold. To understand this betrayal, we must first look at a time when money was actually honest. In 1944, at Bretton Woods, the world agreed on a new rule. The dollar was the anchor of the global economy. The promise was simple. $35 could always be exchanged for exactly 1 ounce of gold. All other currencies were pegged to the dollar. The American dollar was as good as gold. This created a golden age of stability. Inflation was low, and the global trade flourished.
You bet. Everyone in.
America held the world's largest gold reserves. They were the ultimate bankers for the planet. Back then, you couldn't just print money out of thin air. Every dollar had to be backed by something real. This was the era of honest money. People trusted the American promise because it was physical.
Industry powers our future.
Trust was the foundation of the world. But in the late 60s, that foundation began to crack. The weight of war and welfare was about to become too heavy for even gold to carry. The Vietnam War was costing billions, but America didn't raise taxes. They just printed more money. Combined with massive welfare programs at home, the U.S. was spending money like there was no tomorrow. The printing presses were running hot. Soon, there were more dollars in circulation than there was gold in the vault. Other nations started to notice. Charles de Gaulle of France saw the truth. The dollar was losing its value. De Gaulle demanded gold. He sent ships loaded with dollars to America to exchange them for the real thing. One by one, nations were cashing out. America's gold reserves were draining at an alarming rate. By 1971, the situation reached a breaking point. If the world kept exchanging dollars, America would run out of gold entirely. A decision had to be made. Honor the promise and go bankrupt, or break the promise and survive. Nixon headed to Camp David for a secret meeting. The world was about to be blindsided. Inside Camp David, the air was thick with smoke and tension. Nixon's team was about to kill the global financial rules.
Do it. No leaks.
They called it closing the gold window. It was the ultimate delete button for the American promise. On Sunday night, Nixon promised it was only temporary. But in finance, temporary often means forever. At that exact moment, money lost its weight. The dollar was no longer an asset. It was a ghost. This was the birth of Fiat Money. Paper backed by nothing but the government's word and military power. the link was broken. For the first time in history, the entire world was on a paper standard. The world was blindsided, allies felt betrayed, but there was nothing they could do to stop it.
This is global meltdown before it's too late.
The anchor of the global economy was gone. We were now drifting in an ocean of pure credit. The genie was out of the bottle. Without gold, there were no more limits on how much they could print. The age of scarcity was over. The age of infinite money had begun. Almost immediately, the monster woke up. Inflation began to rip through the global economy. Prices for everything, oil, food, housing, skyrocketed. Your hard-earned savings were being eaten alive. In the 1970s, people realized that holding cash was a losing game. The value was evaporating. The Great Inflation was here. It was a decade of chaos, lines, and a dying middle class. Gold, once suppressed, exploded in value. It was telling the truth that the dollar was trying to hide. The secret was out. The government could now tax you without ever passing a bill, simply by printing. This was the new reality, a world where the cost of living would never stop rising. America needed a new anchor. They found it in the desert. They called it the petrodollar. A New Deal. Trade oil only in dollars and America will protect you. The dollar was now backed by energy and guns. Every nation on earth now needed dollars to buy energy. The hegemony survived, but at a cost. This was the birth of the debt empire. To keep the engine running, the world had to borrow more and more. We stopped saving and started borrowing. Debt became the fuel for a fake prosperity. As long as everyone believed the promise, the party could continue. But the bill was growing every second. This is the world Nixon left us, a perpetual cycle of debt that we can never truly pay back. "50 years later, the temporary decision has become permanent. In 2020, we printed more than ever before. If your money is just a digital entry in a bank, what is it worth? Cash is no longer a safe haven. It's a melting ice cube. This is why people are returning to hard assets, gold, Bitcoin, and things the government cannot print. Understanding 1971 is the key to surviving 2026. Protect your labor because the system won't. Are you holding a promise or are you holding value? Think about it.
I have decided to resign the presidency.
Subscribe to the Wealth Archive. Decode the past. Secure your future.